On a hauling moon night, 10 shadows appear from the void river in Zebah. The earth moved with violence as they take each step towards the kingdom. For the first time, the 3 nations were invited to gather beyond their borders in the new Zebah. The 4 nations will hold a peace talk summit in order to prevent another war from breaking out. Queen Enalada was not keen to attend as she thought that it was a waste of time. She viewed Iritagorap, now renamed to New Zebah, as a filthy place. She hated how the witches treated their environment and how they polluted and damaged the forests. The night before the Peace Talks summit, Asamalak was back to its beautiful cold nights where people were happy, celebrating and trying to forget the horrors that fell on them during the war. In the ice castle, Princess Abanez speaks to Elisha and Teen about the summit. Elisha looks more happy than anyone because he is going to New Zebah. Teen teases him about his excitement to see Errol again. At the land of Akamaipotu, the Nature Empress sits on a throne made of plants of different kinds. Osin and Arok approach her as she whispers something to the animals surrounding her. Osin asks Queen Enalada if she could grant her the permission to kill all the man at the summit. The Nature Empress burst into laughter. She tells them to be on guard tomorrow as the atmosphere would be uneasy because of Errol's return. She further warns them that she has a bad feeling that something terrible might happen. At the Burning Kingdom, Denham sits on his throne, and all his generals and commanders of various organizations are kneeling in front of him. Cider and Ilac stands on his right side, whereas Kiara and Ciara stands on his left side. He tells his generals and commanders to drink as much grape wine as they could handle, because tomorrow will birth a new era. Errol sits beside her old throne that was renovated. She speaks with 7 figures who appears like they were just been dug out of their graves, wearing torn clothes. Emily enters the throne room and reports to Errol that the shields are up and no one will dare to enter without her knowing. Errol tells the 7 figures to attend to their tasks. The figures disappeared into thin air like a thought that just... "What is going on, Errol?" a troubled Emily asked. "There is a familiar presence here that makes me feel unease," Errol replied. "I have been feeling a little bit unease since you returned me to my old self. I thought that it was your new powers, but..." Emily paused. "The village near the Void River seems quiet than usual," she murmured. "I sent Gabriel of the 7 to take a look at that village. It has been troubling me too." Errol eased Emily's concerns. "That is great to hear. I really can't believe that you woke up the 7 from their long sleep. Not even one person from our long bloodline of witches could do that." Emily amazed by her sister's prowess. "We need them to rebuild this nation and also to prevent any more bloodshed. Their pure druid blood will help us to stand on equal grounds with other nations even after we have lost so many of our people," Errol said as she looked up. "You need to rest, sister. Tomorrow will be a long day," Emily insisted. Errol stood up and went to her room. Meanwhile, Emily stared at the empty throne for a while, then she disappeared. The night was silent, and the morning was preparing its visit. A loud sound like a trumpet was heard coming from the village named Mueda Banu Kuraiza, which is near the Void River. Errol and Emily immediately teleported to the village. They found Gabriel standing and looking at a village decorated with corpses as if Death herself booked a room for the night. Emily asked Gabriel what happened. No, it can't be," Errol mumbled. She quickly created a black shield on the entire village that prevented anyone from seeing what was going on within the shield. "Gabriel, tell your siblings to divide themselves into pairs and tell Michael to come here." Errol quickly gave Gabriel an order. Emily still shocked by the number of bodies lying all around the village. "How could this happen without us knowing?" she asked Errol. Gabriel spoke in an ancient language with his arms outstretched. He then disappeared, and Michael appeared right where Gabriel was standing. Errol told Emily to continue with the preparations for the summit. She will personally investigate what happened to the village. Emily saw how angry Errol was. She did not want to ask her any more questions. She then disappeared, and only Michael and Errol were left in the village inside the shield. "You asked for me, my queen." Michael showed respect with a bow. Yes, I ordered your siblings to pair with each other while continuing with their tasks. But I want you with me as we investigate what happened here. I have a bad feeling about this, Errol replied with concern. Michael and Errol continued to investigate the horror that fell on the village. Morning came. At the border in the intersection bridge of all nations, all leaders from other nations and their guards stand on the northeast gate of New Zebah. Emily is there to receive them. She created a transparent shield which covered all of the leaders and their guards, and she then floated them and flew with them towards the witch's nest where Errol resides. They arrived and were placed in a hall where they will hold their summit. The hall was more spacious, with nothing but a huge table made of wood with 4 equal sides and 4 wooden chairs in the middle of each side. Emily directed the leaders to sit on the table and guided the guards to the room next door, where they will be served with food and wine. She then told the leaders that Errol will arrive soon. "Ha! So she is not going to offer us food and wine? The witches have bad manners," Denham murmured. "It is not like you are going to eat them even if she offered," Enelada Chickley responded. Errol opened the door. She walked in with a sudden silence emerging from the table, eyes glued to her presence. She wore a white dress matching her long hair as if it was her wedding day. Only the echoes of her footsteps could be heard in the hall. "It is great to have you all here. I hope this summit will be the beginning of a new dawn. May peace and prosperity grace our nations." She spoke swiftly with a smile that disarmed all in the room. "It is rude to keep your guests waiting, witch," Denham interrupted, with his egotistic self screaming to be let loose. "King Denham, where are your manners? She is here now. Let us not waste any time on petty resentments." Princess Ibanez quickly intercepted the conversation. A daring look at Ibanez by Denham and Enelada called for a pause, but Errol quickly intervened. "It is really great to have you all here," in order to calm the intense feeling that has cloaked the room. She then sat down, and they continued with the talks. The talks took 5 days, and on the 5th night, the 4 leaders were finalizing their peace treaty when they sensed an enormous energy emanating from the south in the village of Zaire, which instantly disappeared. Zaire was the stronghold of Alucard, and all of the witches and wizards from that place worshipped Durnagard, ruler of the dark beasts. When Errol claimed back her throne as Queen of New Zebah, the Zaire coven remained silent out of fear of her wrath. But what was that? Princess Ibanez asked. Errol's eyes turned white as snow. Denham and Enelada stood up from their chairs out of instinctive responses as they saw Errol's actions as a threat. Her eyes turned back to their normal color. She then stood up from her chair as she waved her right hand in a clockwise C-shape. Suddenly, the 7 appeared in the room, Denham and Enelada motionless but alert, whereas Ibanez, quiet on her chair with eyes wide open and full of concern, directed at Errol's sudden actions. All of the guards on the next room, along with Emily, came running to the hall and met the clashing energies within the room. "What happened, sister?" Emily shouted. "Explain yourself, witch," Denham ferociously asked Errol. "There is no time to explain, but we are under attack. I need to go south now. Please stay here. I will leave my sister here with you," she said as she and the 7 quickly teleported out of the room and appeared in the village named Sinai, a neighbor to Zaire where war broke down as a swarm of dark creatures were attacking the villagers. The villagers were trying to fight back, but with no hope of winning. Errol joined both her hands in a pyramid shape, and a bright light came out of her body that traveled and spread so wide through the darkness and chased the dark creatures out of the village towards Zaire, where the light could not reach. Michael and the rest of the 7 flew to the sky to guard in case of a possible repeated attack by the dark creatures. Errol told the villagers whom could still stand to take those who are injured to Rafa, the witch's nest, and to alert other villages along the way to evacuate too. Errol flew towards the 7. She then instructed Michael to take Gabriel and Raphael and guard the east side. She instructed Uriel, Sarakiel, and Remiel to take the west side. She then told Ragel to stay beside her in the middle, as they will take on the most attacks in order to allow the villagers to evacuate successfully. In Zaire, the witches and wizards are preparing for a war, while the 10 shadows who appeared in the Void River are sitting in a table discussing strategies. One of the shadows appears to be the North King. His arrogance and laughter revealed him as he stood up from his chair holding a cup of grape wine and shouted at one of the witches who were marking symbols on the ground.
"Create another portal, witch, and let my children run wild,"
referring to the dark creatures that attacked Sinai Village earlier.